going on YouTube? Tuned Up Bass in here. Today's video, I'm going to show you the only 5 baits that you need to go out and catch you guys some bass. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so in no particular order here for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and start off with number 1. Soft plastics. Alright. The good old 5-inch Senko. I'm going to pull it out here. This guy right here. This guy will catch 100% of your fish, or 100% of bass. I don't know what it does, but it literally catches them all. Alright, so you can fish this Texas rig or wacky rig, or whatever you want to do with it. You are always going to catch bass with this 5-inch thick bait here. So color, my favorite is watermelon with red flake. Basically natural color. They're gonna see it in the water, even if it's cloudy or if it's murky. They are still going to see this, because if you think about it, all the bluegills and everything else, they're gonna be the same color as this green guy here. So bass are still always gonna see this guy here. There might be a time where I throw like a black and blue or whatnot, but green pumpkin or watermelon is my favorite color to throw. Going up to the next soft plastics is a swim bait. Alright, so this is a Strike King Rage Swimmer, and going back to the color again, I like that natural color here for this swim bait. Sometimes I'll throw a bolder one. All kind of depends on the water clarity and how I want to fish for that day. But at the end of the day, natural colors is always going to be able to catch you the most fish. All right. Swim baits, I'll swing back to this guy here. I kind of go into more depth with the swim bait here. Next one. This one is a creature bait here, which is made by Biospawn. This is their Vio Bug. Probably one of the best creature baits that I have ever thrown. Alright. Has tons of action, and it smells really good. Like, it legit catches fish every time I throw it. One time I went out fishing up north, and every cast I made with this guy, not in this color here, but every time I made a cast with this guy, fish every single time. Alright. This is basically going to be imitating like a crawfish or whatnot. Sometimes it'll imitate like a bluegill, at the very bottom, pecking at the bottom and whatnot. But majority of the time, my creature baits are always going to imitate crawfish. Alright. And going back to the same color, green pumpkin, my favorite color. Alright. You don't have to be all fancy or whatnot. It doesn't have to have purple, blue, pink, whatever in it. Just keep it natural. Alright. So that's one category, is soft plastics. The next one here, let's go off with this guy right here. A square bill. This guy, I believe, is a 13 fishing square bill here. So I believe this is the 2.5. So this is a bigger size than the traditional like 1.5. I personally like to throw this bigger square bill just because it produces a bigger bite. But there will be times where I would throw, let's say, a KVD. Pretty much a 1.5 square bill here. So there will be a time where I would throw the smaller profile if they're keying in on smaller fish. But majority of the time I'm going to be throwing this bigger style crankbait here, especially square bills. We can get into more depth with like 10XDs and 6XDs, but my favorite is the square bill crankbait here. So my other favorite color for squirbill is a chartreuse with black. Alright. It definitely excels in muddy water because they can key in on this bait here. And just an awesome fish catcher here. In your tackle, definitely need a chartreuse black for your squirbill. Alright. Alright, next one here. Let's go off this guy right here. Actually have it tied on right now. A jig. I don't know about jigs, but they produce bites like no tomorrow. Alright. These jigs here are a catching machine. Now this particular jig here, I actually made it myself here. So this is actually homemade. As you guys can see, there's already a little chip on there already because I've used it on some rocks and stuff like that. But this is homemade, and going back to the same color, a natural color. Alright. Me personally, I like to throw natural colors. I don't know about other people, but I still feel like fish do still see this even if it's muddy water. Alright, because going back to what I was saying, if they're keying in on bluegill, bluegills are typically what? Green? They're gonna see this guy in the water. Like I said, there might be a time where I throw like a black and blue jig here, but majority of the time I will be throwing a natural color here. I'll go into more depth for how to fish this jig here when the actual season starts, and I'll show you guys how I fish this jig out on shallow or out in deep water or offshore and stuff like that here. So definitely get you guys some jigs, and this I believe it's a 3/8 ounce jig. Either that or no, I think it's a 1/2 ounce jig. I did make some 3/8 and some I think 7/16, so the size up from a 3/8 ounce. So yeah, go ahead and get you guys some jigs. Don't really care about what style of jigs. You can do a flip-in or a swim jig and whatnot. Just get you guys some jigs. Alright. Alright, so that was what? Our third lure here. Alright. Fourth. A frog. In the heat of summer, when the lily pads are thick and the mats are thick, I go with this guy. If I know that those fish are going to be under the cover, especially under thick mats and stuff like that, I'm going to be throwing this frog. Alright. Me personally, I don't really like frog fishing. But you know, if I had to do frog fishing, I will do frog fishing. But I've already told myself this year that I'm going to be doing a lot of offshore fishing, because I've personally bought an actual deep cranking rod for the 10XDs and stuff like that, the Strike King 10XDs. So I probably won't be throwing this frog a lot this year, but there will be times where I will throw it. Alright, so depending on the conditions and whatnot. But frog, an awesome lure to throw in the heat of summer. Alright. And like I said, I won't go into depth for how to fish all of these baits here, because there's a lot of ways how a lot of people fish it and stuff like that. So alright. Now the last one here is probably one of my favorite ways of fishing for bass, especially early season, especially during the pre-spawn and stuff like that, is a spinnerbait. Alright. Now these spinnerbaits are so versatile, you can literally fish it anywhere. You can fish it up shallow, you can fish it around docks, you can fish it out deep, you can fish it literally anywhere in the country with this guy. The only main colors that I throw for this spinnerbait is going to be white. Alright, because I want it to stand out in the water, and I want it to imitate like shad and stuff like that. And the only blades that I will ever throw is going to be these willow leaves blades. Alright. I know there's like the Colorado blades, the Indiana blades and whatnot, but I feel like the willow blades are the best way to catch a fish. I know that there's sometimes where you have to throw the Colorado blade if it's super cold water and you want to bring them out from the depth, but I personally like to throw this willow leaf. Alright. I've actually just got into throwing the spinnerbait just a few years ago. I've never really liked throwing a spinnerbait, but from fishing it from what, 2-3 years, this has been probably one of the best ways for me to catch a fish during the early season, so early spring. When those fish pull up into the shallows, this guy catches them all the time. Especially if you hit like little stumps or if you hit like little cattails or whatnot. Basically, if you bump this across some type of structure, they're gonna just come and annihilate this. Alright, so that is the top 5 baits here for you guys. Swinging back around to the swim baits. Alright. The swim bait here. 90% of the time when I fish the swim bait, I usually fish it on top water. Alright. So going back to this frog, if I had to choose which one to throw, I would throw the swim bait over this frog here. The reason why is because I like to do a lot of power fishing. I like to throw it, cast it in, cast it, reel it in, cast it in, reel it in really quick. So I like to do a lot of power fishing here. With this frog, it's more of a, you throw it, you jerk it, you wait, you jerk it into a little pocket, you wait, you twitch it again. Me personally, I don't like doing that. It takes too long for me to get a bite. The swim bait here, if you're burning it across the top of the mats, they are going to find it either way. There might be times where they bite this frog better than the swim bait, but even if they do, I will still throw the swim bait 95% of the time. How I like to rig it up is by using a VMC 4/0 drop dead hook. Alright. I do know that they came out with a heavy duty swim bait hook here, which I believe this is a 4/0. Alright. Both of these are 4/0s. If you look at it, look at where the hook point is at, and look how wide the drop dead hook is compared to this guy here, which is, I believe, the heavy duty swim bait hook that VMC makes. I personally like to throw it on this guy a lot more than this guy here, but there will be times where I throw this over this guy, or throw this guy over this guy here, but most of the time I'm going to be throwing it with this 4/0 drop dead hook. It is a pretty stout hook either way, so even if you go into like really thick cover, it won't bend out on you, you know. But basically it comes with this little screw lock, and you basically take it and go ahead and screw it in to the bait. Just like that. And you basically rest it on there, figure out where the hook point needs to be, and you basically go ahead and thread it in. And a good reference point too for especially this rage swimmer or even the Kitex too is they have this little slot on the bottom. Basically when you thread it in, you don't even need to figure out where it is. If you look at the very end of this slot, that's where the hook point's going to go into. Bang. Just like that. What I actually like to do too is instead of poking the hook all the way through is I actually like to rig it inside the plastic. Alright. So kind of like that, where you actually don't see where the hook is. This will make it 100% weedless. Alright. The only downfall is you might not get a lot of hook sets, but you know, when you're fishing slop and whatnot, you're going to just hammer. You're just gonna just hammer down on them when you know that they're gonna come and bite this. All right. So even if you know the hook point is not exposed, just hammer them when they come in and annihilate the swim bait here. All right. So the other one here is obviously the creature bait here, which is the bio bug here. I basically like to Texas rig it. I usually like to throw a 1/8 ounce tungsten weight on it. I don't really like throwing a 3/8 ounce for Texas rig, because if I do that, I might as well just fish a jig. I feel like throwing a 1/8 ounce tungsten on here lets it fall a little bit faster than it being weightless. Alright. So just a really tiny tungsten bullet weight on there. Texas rig it, and you are good to go. Alright, so that does it for the only 5 baits that you need in order for you to go out and catch you guys some bass. Alright, but other than that, stay tuned for my next video.